It's Saturday, June 26th, and I say good morning to you. And I want to ask you this question. What happened to America's mayor? Do you remember when Rudy Giuliani, was referred to as America's mayor? Do you remember the great handling that he performed after the attack on New York City on 9/11 in 2001? He was a man whose steady response to the attacks of September 11th, 2001 was far above partisan politics and transformed him into a national hero. And he was christened America's mayor. And for years, he was an immensely popular figure who appeared destined for a lucrative career at the tops of American business and government. In 2001, he wouldn't even go to lunch with Donald Trump. And Trump offered to take him out to lunch many times, and Rudy refused because Rudy despised him at that point in time. So what happened to him? How did he end up getting his license to practice law temporarily suspended by a court in New York? And why was it taken away from him? Because he persisted on telling lies about the 2020 presidential election. These was not ordinary lies. They weren't fibs. They were monumental in nature. He continued promoting the fact that there was fraud in the 2020 election. And in 60 cases that went to court with him in charge, one case was looked upon as a possibility, but nothing ever happened with that one case. So 59 out of 60 cases were dismissed because there were false statements that were made to improperly bolster the respondent's narrative that due to widespread fraud, victory in the 2020 United States presidential election was stolen from his client. That's what the ruling said. It also said that Giuliani made false statements while he was acting as counsel for President Trump, and that there was no uncontrovertible evidence. So I ask you again, what happened to Giuliani from 2001 to 2021? Last 2 years have been a living nightmare. His reputation is in tatters. It's destroyed. And he's marked in history for his role in the Ukraine extortion scandal that got a president impeached. He has been at times unstable and incoherent, contradicting himself and the president in wild appearances on cable news and spinning a web of conspiracy theories with Joe Biden at the center. And all of us can remember seeing him on TV with his hair melting and the dye running down his face. And that was exactly the perfect image that we should remember him by over the last couple of years. A man who totally fell from grace. And now they've taken away his license to practice in New York. Giuliani is not the first person to have their reputation sullied by associating with our ex-president. But he probably came the furthest. He probably fell the furthest from his position in the eyes of the American public than anybody else. But what stands in front of him now? He's 76 years old. That's much younger than me. And right now he can't practice in New York. And I'm not sure that he can regain his license. When one looks back at what happened to him after 9/11 and after his term as mayor, one will see that he began to believe in the hype that was associated with the great job he did. It's one thing to perform. It's another thing to continue to perform. And if you believe that the deed that you have done is so great that you can count on living off that for the rest of your life, you are greatly mistaken. Many people do not have long memories, especially in a position like being the ex-mayor of New York and being revered for that. So if you believe in yourself to such a point that you can do anything you want, and then you start to make some terrible mistakes. Take off around the country, presenting yourself as an expert not only on city planning and crime fighting, which obviously he was good at, but also on terrorism and world politics, which he was not so good at. And then you go and you run for president in 2008 and thinking that you were going to face Hillary Clinton in the general election. But I think he realized quickly that it was a major mistake attempting to become the presidential candidate. And look who the presidential candidate ended up being. So maybe that led to his decision that he could go to work for that man. All of these things led to him leaning more toward the right. Originally, he was kind of a Republican centrist. So now, after many disastrous decisions, he stands before everybody and said, "This has been a complete invasion of my First Amendment rights and my rights as an attorney. I am allowed to have a client." Yes, I agree, you are allowed to have a client, but you're not allowed to lie. You're not allowed to promote a lie. You're not allowed to invent the facts. And they have 59 cases where you did exactly that. So yes, you had your First Amendment rights and you spoke your piece and you lied. And now your license is temporarily suspended. And at 76 years old, maybe they won't give you the damn thing back. So what are you going to do now, Rudy? Wrong. And you claim you did nothing wrong. President Trump is allowed to have a lawyer, he said. And it's a partisan hit. They're getting to me because they believe that Trump is a bad guy. And I shouldn't have been working for him. I didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing I said that a witness didn't tell me. We're getting to be like East Germany, he said. You're supposed to check what the witnesses say. Do you take everything verbatim? Are you dumb? You were a prosecutor. You were on the top of your game. Let's face it. You have fallen very, very far. And you acted like a jerk. And very unprofessional. So you deserve what you got. And you have nobody to blame but yourself. So let me leave it at that. So I will see you in the morning. Have a great day. Bye.